The first part's really simple. If you don't win in this environment, you lose. There's going to be winners and losers wherever you look. In the good times that we all experienced over the last decade, there was tons and tons of winners. In this environment, which is not a recession, is it? It's much worse than that, frankly. It's closer to a catastrophe because we're seeing credit crisis, yes, crisis of confidence, still growing. You've seen that here in Asia. And you're going to see a social crisis following that, because this gap between haves and have-nots is getting wider and wider and wider. 50 million people unemployed around the rest of the world. So the US, Europe, the more traditional markets are going to be facing another tough 18 months. In that environment, it is about winning, it's about gaining share, it's about focusing on what you can control. It's about inspiring the people that are left behind, right? Because there's a lot of people who are unemployed and are feeling very insecure. So you've got to inspire them to win. The alternative of losing is terrible. And it is going to be ugly. Most discussions are about doing more for less, about controlling what's controllable, about the bottom line. Everybody's under pressure. Almost every discussion you have with someone, whether that's a politician, whether it's a CEO, whether it's one of your own folks, has got a undercurrent of tension because they're under the gun. People aren't making their numbers, etc., etc. So in that environment, it really is about winning ugly. It's about playing tennis more like Nadal rather than Roger Federer. It's about playing football like Germany rather than Brazil. I found most people respond to that too, because we've all come up through school where we've had to win ugly from time to time. Many of us have played sports. And I think it's in the nature of man that there is nothing more beautiful in many ways to be lying on the field of battle, exhausted, bloodied, with your mates, victorious. Very slowly. Very slowly. The advertising industry per se is quite dinosauric and would rather things stayed the way they were. So my view is we really haven't reinvented the way we work. We haven't really reinvented the value that we're bringing to clients. Our role is very simple, right? It's to generate ideas. We're in the problem-solving business. Clients come to us with a brief, aka a problem, okay? And our job is to fix that problem. How? Not through process, not through rigor, not through control. Clients have got that in spades. Our job is to come up with an idea that consumers, that customers really emotionally buy into. And that's the only kind of role we have in this life. Now customers, consumers, have sprinted ahead of us. They've redefined their lives in this environment like that. In Asia and Singapore, I actually think they're pretty much ahead of the pack. They've looked, they've seen, they've decided how they've reframed value in their own lives. They've decided what choices to make, what luxuries to buy, what luxuries to give up, and they're up there. They've also decided how they're going to absorb media. What are they going to absorb in terms of the internet, in terms of their mobile phone, in terms of TV, in terms of magazines and so on, and they've moved. I think agencies a little bit are still looking at the world as it used to be, or as if they'd like it to be, but the world has changed. The consumer's boss, and we've got to move with her. Yeah, we're excited, as you could probably tell, right? With Dean Taylor here, with John Foley in Australia, all under Ian Rowden, who I've known for 20-25 years, and Rowdy's making a welcome return to advertising after his stint with Wendy's and Coke, and he's really the instigator of a lot of this stuff. So you're seeing young guys, talented guys, who are part of the future, who are part of the digital generation. These are the guys that are taking over now. Phil Rubel in Japan, the same thing. So really what Saatchi's doing are saying, we believe in the reasonable power of creativity. We believe we live in the age of the idea, and we believe we live in a digital world, okay? Our only job is to create sustainable growth for our clients. We do that by getting closer and closer to consumers, and we do that through generating ideas. So this team of leadership you've got here, along with Andy Greenaway's creative leadership, is really focused on that. You'll have seen a little bit of press around Malaysia about the approach we're taking to awards. Over the last decade, we've done very well in award shows around the world, and along with BBDO, DDB, TBWA globally, we'd be in the top 4 creative networks every year. How do you measure that today? You know, when you've got so much is not sort of traditional advertising that you can look at on a screen or an award jury, but it's all about viral, it's all about how involved you can get consumers, it's all about how consumers participate. Because we've moved now into the participation economy, right? The only question you need to ask when you see a piece of work is, do you want to share it? Do you want to get involved with it? Do you want to pass it on? Do you want to add to it? So how do traditional award shows measure that? I don't think they're keeping up. Yes, we have titanium in Cannes, but it's only a start. So what we've really done is focus on what we want to be now is we want to be agency of the year everywhere we operate. And to do that, you've got to do great work, you've got to build great businesses, you've got to have great campaigns, you've got to innovate, you've got to win new business, you've got to make money. Sustainability, in other words. So that's the focus for us in the region. I think it's got out of hand, quite frankly, and I think it's become somewhat self-serving. And, you know, Saatchi and Saatchi have always had the view that we should be zigging when the rest of the world's zagging. So if you're just going to follow without questioning, that's not really progress. So really we're questioning that whole thing. Award shows conceptually are good things. They recognize and celebrate great work, they raise the standards everywhere, and they give us all a chance to learn. But I wonder if we haven't lost that focus really of late, and some of these shows are really just about generating revenue through getting more and more people to enter. So I think if I was running an award show, I would really be looking at the original purpose, the business model, and reinventing that. I'm not sure award shows have reinvented themselves, frankly.